All right, so we are officially in preseason week number 1 of the NFL. And I'm actually recording this a little earlier in the good spirit because last night we just watched Tanner McKee drop some absolute dimes on the Bengals starting defense with guys that most of you have probably never even heard of. Guys like Darius Cooper, the legend, the Super Bowl champion, Johnny Wilson. But that's neither here nor there. Today we're going to be covering the other two divisions in the AFC, the AFC South and the AFC West. So we're going to start with the AFC South with the first team, the champions of last season, the Houston Texans. So it has been a down year for the Texans and specifically C.J. Stroud. He didn't have the worst case of a sophomore slump that we've ever seen compared to his rookie year, but there were some big step downs. Much of the Texans' success this season is going to rely on Stroud and his new young weapons. They don't have Stephon Diggs anymore. And at the time of recording this, Joe Mixon has actually been sidelined for the entire season. So their new signing, Nick Chubb, will have to be a workhorse back again like he was in Cleveland. Who knows if he can do that because he's injury prone as well. But we will wait and see. They traded Laramie Tunsil, they released Kenyon Green and Shaq Mason, so they basically have an entire revamped offensive line. And despite all the changes that the Texans front office has made, they're confident in their young players to, really step up and start making the plays for Stroud. We kind of saw that the offensive line was a bit of their downfall last season, especially in the playoffs and the divisional round against the Chiefs and even the Chargers in the game that they won. That's not an offensive line that you could have won a Super Bowl with. Their defense looks good. I mean, there's not a whole lot of rearranging. They did sign Ronald Darby, Philadelphia Eagles legend, by the way. And speaking of the Eagles and the Texans, they also traded for C.J. Gardner-Johnson, which is a huge pickup. Take it from me personally, I can attest that any secondary room that he's in will automatically become better. Unfortunately, as of the time of recording this, I think it's yesterday, C.J. Gardner-Johnson was carted off with a knee injury. Now, they're saying that it's not an ACL, so prayers up for him. Hopefully he can heal and bounce back with a good season. I think that the Texans, they're definitely going to win the division, though. I mean, this is the AFC South. Their competition isn't much. They have a rookie quarterback, Daniel Jones, and Trevor Lawrence is their competition. Their defense will be good. C.J. Stroud's going to pop off. I think Nico Collins will have a great season. And, look for a bounce-back year from Stroud. All right, now moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is really a make-or-break year for Trevor Lawrence. People have been saying that in the media for the past 3 years, and it is true. I mean, he was one of the most hyped-up prospects ever coming out of high school and coming out of college. And he's been a good quarterback. He hasn't been terrible. He's not a bust, but he hasn't really shown anybody anything apart from that one season where they went to the playoffs. He hasn't really shown anybody that he can be the franchise guy that can go win you a Super Bowl. Now, I think easily the biggest headline this offseason for the Jags has been Travis Hunter. He's currently listed as the number 2 wide receiver and the number 2 cornerback on the depth chart. So it seems like they really are keeping their word and having him play both sides of the ball. And we'll see how he does against that. There hasn't really been many NFL talents that could pull off doing that. And maybe if Hunter is the first to do so successfully, then I think the Jags could have a decent season. Their offense still looks good. They still have ETN. They drafted a few running backs. Tank Bigsby's a good pick. Brian Thomas Jr., obviously, he's a stud. Came out of pretty much nowhere last year and was, I think, the best rookie receiver. Let's see. They've also got, they got rid of Christian Kirk. Who else they got? De'Ami Brown. Not really great weapons options outside of Hunter and Brian Thomas, but maybe you don't need great options outside of that. Their defense was the worst in the league last season against the pass, so there really is nowhere to go from but up, and that's where they will go. They signed guys like Jordan Lewis from the Cowboys and Eric Murray as a safety, so the bar is really low for the Jags. I think this is going to be just a rebuilding year for them. They have a new GM, a new head coach, a lot of new pieces, younger guys that maybe haven't really made a name for themselves yet. But I think if Travis Hunter works out, then they could be challenging for the division, just because this division is just so incredibly bad. And now when we're talking about the Colts, before I get into any official predictions about the Colts, I just want to say that the Colts are screwed. Yeah, they have a quarterback battle going on right now between Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. And it gets even worse for them actually because Anthony Richardson got injured in their preseason game last night. So now it looks like that Daniel Jones is going to be the bona fide starter going into Week 1 for the Colts, which is I hope the Colts fans are doing all right in break of this news. I don't think they'll be terrible though. I think they do have a better roster than the Giants. They still have Jonathan Taylor. They drafted Tyler Warren in the first round to hopefully give DJ some help. They still have decent weapons. They still got Adonai Mitchell and Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman. Those are all serviceable options for your quarterback, I think. Their defense was terrible last year. They've done a lot to address it, like signings of guys like JT Tumalo in the draft. I hope I pronounced that right. Charvarius Ward signed as well. That's probably their biggest signing. He signs 3 years, $66 million. Cameron Bynum as well at the safety spot. He'll help strengthen the defense a lot as well. I just can't see a scenario in where Daniel Jones leads the Colts to anywhere but like an embarrassing wild card loss. Like we have seen him win a playoff game, which is honestly kind of crazy. They did beat the Vikings that one year, and they got trounced in the second round. So maybe Daniel Jones will surprise all of us this year. Who knows? And maybe even we'll get a look at rookie quarterback Riley Leonard to see if he can make a spark. Overall, though, I think rebuilding year for the Colts, too. They're going to win a lot of their games based on their defense. A lot of low-scoring games, I'm thinking. All right, and now the last team in the South, the Tennessee Titans. I was waiting to talk about them because this might be the most jarring situation. The Titans had the worst record in the league yet last year. They had the number 1 overall pick. So, yet again, the bar is very low for them. They took Cam Ward with the number 1 overall pick, the former Miami quarterback. That was probably the biggest headline of the offseason. And, he's going into a situation where it isn't the worst situation that we've ever seen a number 1 overall pick in. Also is far from the best. His weapons are, a washed-up Calvin Ridley. They also signed some other guys. They got Tyler Lockett now. Van Jefferson is also on the Titans, which I didn't even see. There's been a lot of headlines as well about his former Miami teammate Xavier Restrepo and whether or not he makes the team with his 4.9 40 time, I think it was, or something. So we'll wait to see about that. They've still got Tony Pollard, who's a serviceable back. He got 1,000 yards last season. So they're probably going to be looking on Pollard and even Tajay Spears to really see if they can take the weight off of some of Cam Ward's shoulders so that he isn't dragging the entire offense by himself. The defense is probably got worse. They lost Harold Landry in free agency. They still have some of their best players. They re-signed guys like Quandre Diggs. L'Jarius Sneed is back from injury. They still got Jeffrey Simmons. So I think that their defense will probably remain the same. It wasn't even a bad defense last year. They were just dragged down by the abysmal quarterback play of Mason Rudolph and Will Levis. So much like the Jags, I think if their quarterback play can improve, then their record will improve big time as well. I don't see them making a playoff run, though, anything in the wild card round. It's just too young of a team, too inexperienced, especially in the coaching and GM positions as well. So I think this is a bit of a rebuilding year for the Titans as well. Kind of the theme of the AFC South. All right, now let's talk about the Super Bowl run-ups, the Kansas City Chiefs. I really wonder how they're feeling about that belt to ass, the absolute whooping in the Super Bowl. It was 40-6 at one point. It's one of the worst beatdowns we've ever seen. I'm done being biased for now, though. That was my shtick at the beginning of it. I think it's going to be the same Chiefs team as this season. We have no reason to think otherwise. Patrick Mahomes is probably going to be throwing to UPS drivers again because Rashee Rice is hurt. They lost DeAndre Hopkins. They lost Hollywood Brown. They franchise tagged Juju Smith-Schuster, so they have one name. But it's really going to be him, a bunch of DoorDash drivers, and a washed-up Travis Kelce. But, we've seen before that Mahomes can do more with a lot less, so I don't think there's any reason to think that the Chiefs' offense will take a big dip. They have bolstered their defense. They signed guys like Christian Fulton, Jerry Tillery, and Blake Lynch. He re-signed, so, they are strengthening their depth a lot on their defense. They did restructure the contracts of Patrick Mahomes and Chris Jones. It's generated about $49 million in cap space. I would like to also add that that's the fourth time that they had to restructure Patrick Mahomes' deal. Maybe you shouldn't have given him $500 million. I don't know. Their draft, I did like their draft. They got Josh Simmons, one of the best tackles in the draft from Ohio State. Let's see, they lost Mecole Hardman as well, Samaje Perine, Justin Reed, Tyrann Mathieu. So a lot of big losses for the Chiefs, like some of their more notable names. But I think that just means that they're going to be a hungrier team. They're going to be a younger team that really wants to make a name for themselves. This is a much tougher division, however, so I think it'll be a lot closer in the end. I think they're still going to win it, though, but the other teams in the West are far better than previous years. All right, and now we are going to be talking about the Las Vegas Raiders, probably one of the most changed teams from last year to this year. They made a lot of moves in the front office and on the roster. Probably the biggest one is Pete Carroll coming out of retirement. He became the coach in January, and I think it's a big signing for the Raiders. They need a guy with experience like Pete Carroll. Let's see. Chip Kelly is also in as their offensive coordinator. So, that might not work out too well for the Raiders. I don't know. I think Chip Kelly is probably best when you're giving him the least amount of roster control as possible. So maybe if he's just calling plays, it'll do fine. Let's see. Geno Smith. They gave up a big draft haul for Geno Smith, signed him to an extension. He's going to be an upgrade on Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. So they'll be better in that regard for the Raiders. They've also signed Max Crosby to an extension, which, there was a lot of trade rumors about him. So it was good that they were able to lock him up. They got some other notable players as well in free agency, like Jeremy Chin, Raheem Mostert, Eric Stokes, Devin White, Jermaine Pratt. A lot of journeyman guys who, have already made a name for themselves. They've lost some guys as well, Marcus Epps, Nate Hobbs, Jacorian Bennett, to name a few. Gardner Minshew's gone as well. He's the backup in Kansas City now. But I think overall that this is going to be a way better year for the Raiders. They have Ashton Genty, who's I think he's going to be really good. Took him 6th overall. They still have guys. They still got Brock Bowers. They still have Jacoby Myers. And I think with the definitely an upgrade in quarterback play, I think we're going to see a different Raiders team this season. Could even take a game off of the Chiefs or two, maybe even the Broncos. But yeah, this is a young team. They're hungry. They want to show who they are. Geno Smith still not writing back to the haters. Moving on to the Denver Broncos, and I think the Broncos were one of the surprise packages of last season. Nobody was really expecting Bo Nix to be as good as he was, but Bo Nix silently had one of the best years for a passer, I think. Statistically, he had 29 touchdowns. It's only about 13 interceptions. Over 4,000 yards, too. That's nothing to scoff at for a rookie. And his best weapon was only Cortland Sutton and a bunch of other bums. So, very underrated year for Bo Nix and the Broncos. And they've only gotten better this offseason. Their defense has improved a lot. Dre Greenlaw and Talona Hufanga from the 49ers both signed for the Broncos. They're going to make huge impacts. They got Evan Ingram now as well, so a reliable tight end target for Bo Nix, more of a safety blanket. J.K. Dobbins is here now as well, so that should bolster their backfield. Their running back core wasn't great last season. They didn't really lose anybody. They lost some backup guys, a long snapper, Jared Stidham. Javonte Williams is gone. Little Jordan Humphrey, Zach Cunningham. All of those guys weren't really making huge impacts on the field anyway, and I think the Broncos will be just fine without them. Jahdae Barron, their first-round pick, I think he can slot in right away and be a good player for the Broncos, kind of like Quinyon Mitchell last year. They re-signed Zach Allen to a 4-year, $102 million extension, and I think not a lot of people have heard of his name after last season. I think he was one of the more underrated players last season, but they definitely will know his name coming in. Other rookies, R.J. Harvey, Pat Bryant, Kay Robinson, they all can make definite impacts as well. And I think the Broncos could make a tough challenge for the division, make it tough for the Chiefs. Like I said in the Chiefs segment, this is probably the toughest AFC West we're going to see, or we've seen in years, and I think that the Broncos can definitely make some noise. Sean Payton's been there. He's done that. Bo Nix has as well. They did lose in the wild card round last year, but that was to the Bills and the MVP Josh Allen, so that's nothing really to laugh at. All right, and now finally moving on to the team that I think can challenge the Chiefs the most, and that's the Los Angeles Chargers. the Chargers really haven't done much in terms of off-season moves this offseason, and I honestly think that's a good thing. They had one of the best defenses in the league last season. They made the playoffs. Obviously, it didn't go how they wanted, but at the same time, you can't always blame your quarterback for that. I think Justin Herbert's a great quarterback, and if they have any chance at success this season, it's going to be behind him. He's got new weapons now. I mean, Ladd McConkey had a great rookie year, so no reason to not expect him to do great in his second year as well. They've really beefed up their running back core as well. They signed Najee Harris, and they drafted Marion Hampton, so that should give a lot of big help to Justin Herbert. They signed Tyler Conklin as well, giving a bit more depth to that tight end position. Also, guys like Andre James and Mekhi Becton on the offensive line will give them a big boost. It actually came out just yesterday at the time of recording this that Rashawn Slater is going to be out for the entire 2025 season with a leg injury. So prayers up for him. You never like to see players get hurt like that. And I think that does leave a big void in the O-line for the Chargers. But I think Jim Harbaugh, he'll have a plan. He always has a plan. I think that he's a big reason why the Chargers are going to go far this season. And by going far, I mean maybe the divisional round. They definitely will challenge the Chiefs, maybe take a game off them. I don't think they're going to win the division. They're too young of a team. But I think that, they'll sneak in with a wild card spot, maybe having 10, 11 wins, and the Chiefs will have probably 12. So it's going to be very close. And I think maybe in a world where the Chiefs have a lot of injuries, then the Chargers can come in and take control of the division. So we'll really wait to see what happens. But I think trust in Justin Herbert, trust in this defense for the Chargers, and I think that they'll have a great year. They are the Chargers, though, which is something important to keep in mind.